After locating the Marines' headquarters, the Code Talkers faced another challenge. The officer in charge of Code didn't think the Code Talkers could beat the system he was using. He gave them a message that he boosted his system could send and receive in less than 4 hours. McCabe told the officer he would just need 2 minutes. When McCabe handed the officer the response a couple of minutes later, the officer was shocked. That was the end of the test, McCabe said later. The Code Talkers made a believer of him. Within hours, Chester, Roy, and the others were in the thick of the action. One of their first messages directed artillery fire on an enemy position. Adi Tahi, they sent, which means destroy. A moment later, loud explosions showed that their directions had been perfect. For the next 2 days, almost without sleep, they sent message after message. Send ammunition here. Aim more artillery there. Move this platoon to another area. And on and on. They got a few minutes of sleep when they could, but the noise of the bombs and guns going off all around them made it difficult. The Navajo were saving the lives of their fellow Marines with their coded messages by directing artillery fire, large, heavy guns and tanks, and helping to position troops. The Navajo Code Talkers had more than proven their worth on Guadalcanal, but the war continued, and other dangerous challenges awaited them, including their most important mission yet. Chapter 6 Code Talker Life. As the island hopping camping of World War II continued throughout 1943 and 1944, Navajo Code Talkers joined their fellow Marines, landing in places such as Guam, Iwo Jima, Bougainville, New Britain, and Peleliu. Meanwhile, newly trained Navajo Code Talkers were arriving from Camp Elliott to join the original group. After Guadalcanal, Marine Major General Alexander Vandergrift sent a message to Camp Elliott. This Navajo code is terrific, he wrote. The enemy never understood it. We don't understand it either, but it works. Send us some more Navajos. By the end of the war, more than 400 Navajos served as Code Talkers. As the number of Code Talkers and their missions grew, so did the code itself. More and more military terms were added. For example, a grenade is a small handheld explosive. The Navajo called grenades ni masi, which means potatoes. The word for a fort became anasazi, which means cliff dwelling. A tank's code word was chardagahi, a tortoise. New Navajo words for English letters were added to confuse the Japanese army too. A key way to break a code is to look at how often letters are repeated. E, A, and S, for example, are amongst the most used English letters. So if a code breaker sees the same cipher used after, there's a good chance it might be E, A, or S. To help prevent that, about a dozen often used English letters were given Navajo alternates. The letter A could be Wa La Chi, and B La Sana, apple, or C Nu S. Though the Code Talkers' day-to-day work was about maintaining communications, life in the battle zones was still dangerous. To reach places where it would be safe to speak on their radios, they often had to avoid machine gun fire or enemy artillery. The Code Talkers spent many scary nights huddled in chances or fossils as bullets singed above them. The Japanese tried their best to stop the Code Talkers from doing their job. The Japanese radio men could hear all the words that the Navajo were sending. They just couldn't understand them. Still, to try to distract the Marines from their coding work, the Japanese soldiers blasted loud noises or banged pots and pans into the radio broadcasts. Sometimes the danger was not from the Japanese forces. Most Marines did not know who the Code Talkers were or how important their mission was, and some soldiers thought that the dark-skinned Navajo men looked Japanese. Eugene Crawford was once threatened with a pistol by another Marine who thought Crawford was sneaking into camp. The Marine did not let Crawford go until an officer told him the real story. Several other Code Talkers also told stories about being mistaken for Japanese soldiers. The Code Talkers worried what would happen if they were caught. Would the Japanese torture them to reveal the Navajo code? Because of fears of mistaken identity and capture, many Navajo Code Talkers were given Marine bodyguards. These Marines traveled everywhere with the Code Talkers. They made sure the Code Talkers were not bothered by fellow US soldiers and also protected them from enemy attack. Mine stuck to me like glue. If I went to the bathroom, so did he. Remembered Eugene Crawford. The Code Talkers weren't bothered by having bodyguards, and some later said that they didn't even know they had them. But many other aspects of war upset the Navajo more than the other Marines. In the Navajo culture, the bodies of the dead are something to be avoided. Navajo believe that spirits of the dead sometimes stay with the bodies. From the moment they landed ashore on Guadalcanal, Chester and his fellow Navajo saw many dead soldiers, American and Japanese. Dan Aki later said that his fear of corpses was one of the hardest things to get over in the war.